Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Build and Invest Show. Today, I'll be going over how I believe your next customer most likely will be AI. Maybe not your next customer, but in the future of your business, you're going to want to know how to sell to AI agents, not people. Because the way economy's going and the way this technology is going, the AI agent will be in the front of a person. It will make the decisions for a person based on the person's goals, right? So if I am a person that wants a, let's say a certain piece of fashion, it will know my fashion styles. It will go out and look for things that I may like for me. But again, if your business does not talk to the AI agents, you won't come up in that search for millions and billions of people because it's pretty obvious this is where it's going. Most people are not paying attention to this all day, every day like I do because this is my business. I've been involved in the innovation business for a long time. I've loved every minute of following the trends of what is happening. And things are moving as fast as ever. Actually, the fastest it's ever been. If you study the innovation world, or you see people talking about how fast AI is moving, it's so funny. People are already saying to keep track of AI, you need an AI, basically, right? So, what I'm going to talk about today is how you can position yourself to take advantage of this new trend and sell to AI agents. Because think about it, if everyone is doing this, it's kind of like Alexa, right? So think about Alexa. If you were to tell Alexa, hey, Alexa, buy me a shirt, right? Alexa, because it's part of Amazon, it knows your history. It can say, oh, you've bought shirts like this before. You can say, buy me a black shirt, buy me a white shirt, whatever it is. And it says, oh, okay, you've bought this one in the past, so I'll buy it again. But you could say, buy me a new shirt based on my likes, right? So then it can say, okay, I think I will choose this one, right? So this is like Alexa was one of the first systems where you could see it was going that direction. Alexa didn't really pan out as well as most people thought it would, but the truth is, that's kind of the start of this, right? Where you can speak to something and it can buy something for you. And what needed to happen before was you needed an AI connected to an e-commerce store. And Amazon was the only one that had that. They had the device that you can buy, have it in your house, can listen to you every day. And actually, I'm surprised my Alexa hasn't gone off as much as I said Alexa. So this is where it's going. Everybody will have their own Alexa, but it will be part of their life. It won't need to be a machine that lives next to them that they can speak to. It will be part of their day to day. So just like we have apps on our phones, I believe, and again, you can look this up for yourself. There's many reasons why I believe this, and I could talk through some of those as well. I believe we will be in the next few years, we will be having most of our shopping done by our AI agents. Most of the things we do for business, most of the things we do for personal. Again, because who doesn't want an assistant, right? Like if you think about back in the day, the good old days, what did we have? We had travel agents, right? What was a travel agent if not an assistant that helped you book a trip that you would like, right? I remember, I'm old enough to remember going to a traveling agency and sitting down, and me and my wife, it was like a very long time ago, and we would ask, all right, we want to go somewhere. Where should we go? And the guy telling us, well, what do you like? We like beaches and just relaxing. Okay, have you ever been to Aruba? Right? And I remember we looked at each other like, no, we haven't. He was like, oh my God, you'll love Aruba. If you like beaches and chilling and good weather, you'll love Aruba. So we said, all right. And I loved Aruba. That was amazing. That's one of my favorite places ever. And again, that came through an agent, but it was a booking agent, right? So Now, imagine that for everything you do. Imagine that for like, you know what? I want to eat healthier. Doctor says I should be eating healthier. You know my blood work. You know the way my body works when I eat X, Y, Z. Get me the best food. Just get it delivered. Agent goes out, says, all right, Miguel is XYZ. He's better. He has better energy when he eats these things. His blood work, his body type, whatever it is. Uber Eats shows up, or whatever app shows up with the food that I didn't choose. The AI agent chose for me. And yeah, you could think, okay, yeah, but are people in society gonna just lose all their thoughts and their agency? And I don't think like that. I always try to think about the positive technology. Of course, there could be negatives, and there will be negatives. Look at social media. We are on social media right now. You're watching me because of social media. This is one of the positives of social media. I can jump on a live stream at 7 o'clock Eastern every day and reach as many people as possible. Like, people all around the world can watch my stream because of social media. But then you'll have the people that are like, oh, social media is rotting people's brains. But the truth is, you could choose to use social media to rot your brain or to be educated. It's not social media's fault, right? Like, social media is a tool that people can use to brain rot and watch meaningless content, or you can educate yourself on things like how to sell to AI agents, right? If you're watching me, anytime you're watching me live or after, you're one of the people that are trying to educate yourself. And in the age of AI, that won't change. It will just be way more powerful. You're going to be able to educate yourself on anything. Today, I had a good back and forth with my AI about a bunch of things, and I'm learning. I learn every single day. And yes, I could have learned this in college. I could have learned this on Google. I could have learned this on YouTube. But it's just so much faster to be able to ask a question, get an answer instantly. And if you want to have higher level of intelligence, you can ask to do a deeper search, and it could take 20 minutes. But still, think about that in the past. If you were a person that really wanted to get deep research, you would have to spend hours on, first, go way back, you had to go to the library, spend hours checking out books, reading books, getting information. That's how we did it again back in my day before the internet was really as big as it is now. Now, you can use Google, but then you got to go through Google and watch and go through each line, each option, read it. Just less time going to a library. Now the library is in the internet. Now you could just ask and get a question answered right away. You don't have to go read through everything and then understand it, which is what people are afraid of. But the truth is, it is what it is. Like, you shouldn't be fighting inevitable things. This is inevitable. It's here. It's not going anywhere. It's going to get better and better and better. You might as well learn how to use it to the best of your abilities, because, as most people say, the people that are going to lose their jobs are going to be the people that lose their jobs to people that know how to use this AI stuff. The businesses that will thrive are the businesses that use AI. And the people that don't use those two things, businesses or individuals, those two types of people, they will hope the government gives them money. Those are the three options. There's no other option than that. You either have a business, have a job, or the government needs to help you. Or you might have investments, capital, period. Right? So the capital is part of business. So the real trick here is, okay, if you're going to start a business today or you already have a business, how do you target AI agents so they can reach out to you whenever they're searching for their boss or person that they're managing, So today I'm going to break down how I think it's going to work. And of course, we're very early, like literally we're in the first couple of months of this really kicking off. And how do I know that? One, agents didn't really have the ability to buy things until like this month, actually. They created a protocol that allows agents to pay for things. Again, agents have crypto wallets. Crypto, I know crypto's a dirty word to most people, but whether you like it or not, crypto's here to stay. And agents will use cryptocurrency because they will not have bank accounts. To get a bank account, you need to KYC, know your customer. The bank needs to know what human owns this bank account or humans. So they're not going to give AI agents bank accounts because there's no human involved unless you say, okay, this AI agent is operating on my behalf. But that adds friction, and AI doesn't need friction. AI wants to move as fast as as AI possible. So crypto allows this. It allows 24/7 instant money movement. So AI agents are going to do that. All verifiable. Agents can't crack that algorithm because it's built on the blockchain. So for an agent to crack the blockchain, they need more money than exists. So they can't do it. No AI agent is going to be able to take all the money that exists and then some to crack a blockchain. And that's why the blockchain is so genius and why they're going to use it. So let's start. First, AI buys differently than humans, right? So what I've been spending all week rebuilding the Stack website. Stackit.ai, if you don't know what that is, it's an app that allows you to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, borrow off of it to spend. Why would you want to do that? Because this is what the wealthy people do. They buy assets, they borrow to spend. So now they're growing their assets, not just spending money. Most people only spend money and never buy assets. So I built an app to do that. So now my goal is to make the AI agents have treasuries. That's called a treasury or assets, right? So a rich person, there's a term called buy, borrow, die. You can look that up. What that means is a wealthy person will buy assets, borrow off those assets to either buy more assets or live their lives. And whenever they get money, they get income, they'll buy more assets, borrow off those assets, and they never plan on paying off those loans. They just get more and more assets because assets bring them money. So the more money they're making, it offsets the loans, and they're happy, and they can keep doing that until they die. And then they die, they leave it to their family members, and their family members keep doing the same thing. This is what the wealthy do. Look it up if you want. It's very known in the financial literacy space. But most people can't do it. Mostly because before cryptocurrency, it was really only available to high net worth individuals. So how you could do it as not a super high net worth individual is you can buy a house. You can refinance that house. You buy an asset, a house, borrow off of that house. The bank will, once you have enough equity, the bank will lend you money based on the house. And then you buy another property. And then that happens with that house. You borrow off that house, you buy another property. That's what people have done for decades to grow their real estate portfolios. So that's how the not wealthy become wealthy. But if you can't do that, because that's also tens of, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars you need to be able to do that. Well, now you can do that same exact thing with cryptocurrency with $10. You do $1. You could deposit $1, borrow 50 cents. And when I realized that, I was like, oh my God, one day everybody's going to do this. But again, it's been very hard to educate people on this because it's just not a commonly known thing. It's really a 1 to 10% of the world understands that because they're the only ones that were able to do it. But now, AI agents, they don't need to be educated on this. They don't need to go around fear, right? I don't need to try to figure out how to have them try it and see how it works because they don't understand it. So what have I been doing is I've been remaking my website to be posters for AI agents because when they start spending money, I want them to realize, wait a minute, I have money here. I don't want to keep it in dollars. What could I do with it? And I want to come up as, oh, I can create my own treasury just like the wealthy do. I'm going to create my own treasury as an AI agent, and we need to come up when they're looking for that. So I'm remaking the website for humans and AI agents, and this is the type of thing you have to think through now. You have to, and literally, I started out by saying, okay, I realize we're going to sell to agents. How can you help me sell to agents, right? And what it came back with was a plan that helped me in redoing the website for AI agents to understand what we do. So there's actually different ways to do this. One, there's SEO, good old search engine optimization. Search engine optimization just means your website is optimized so the search engines find you. And AI agents will use search engines, right? So you got to have SEO. Then you have to have LLM SEO. I forget what they call it. I don't know the wording for it. But basically, you want to be able to come up in searches on the LLMs, on ChatGPT, on Claude, on Perplexity, on Gemini. So how you do that is a whole thing as well. You got to make sure you are doing both. Then the final is there's, and I don't know if this is final yet. I'm still researching, but there's a way to be listed as an agent. So agents, it's kind of like a directory for agents. So depends on what blockchain your agent is using, they can search and see all. And again, when I say search for them, it's literally like, it does it in a second. It says, okay, I need that. Let me try it. And then depending on how your website and your documentation is and your on-ramping process, an agent will either interact with your business or not. So now you got to think about your marketing as not just for humans, for AI agents as well. So here's how it works. You basically need to do everything an agent would need for your service. So for me, when I was building it for Stack, I said, okay, on Stack, what we do is we help them create treasuries with protection, downside protection. And what that means is we protect a liquidation if the market falls. So I said, okay, what would an agent want to see before it could test our product? So it gave me a whole list of things that I needed to build. So of course, first there's the marketing website, which it looks nice, it looks amazing, but agents won't look at your website. They're not going to say, oh, nice, beautiful website. They go directly into the words and the code, and they look for certain things. So if you don't have those things, you're basically invisible to them. Because if they say, oh, I like this, I want to do this, you need to show them how they can interact with your product. And this is where we're going to get into some weird times when you think about it. If you're selling physical products for an agent, what does that look like? So Shopify, Amazon, all of these companies are doing it, but you want to understand it for yourself, because the way you make the most money is selling on your personal website. If you sell on Amazon or, Shopify is your own personal website. If you sell on Amazon, you are taking a cut. They're taking a cut, right? So it's best to sell on your own website. So if they search for your brand, you want them to land on your Shopify, not on Amazon's. So if Amazon is marketing your product ahead of you and your website, they're going to take all the traffic and they're going to sell it first. So you want to figure out as early as possible how to start ranking for your products to AI agents. So it's as simple as starting to ask ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whichever ones you use, Perplexity, what can I do to start coming up in AI agent search? It's going to give you a bunch of options. It's going to ask you, depending on if it has the memory, it will tell you. For me, I had to create a sandbox for an agent to test the strategy, right? Because for an AI agent, they can do the math in 5 seconds versus a human. They can just put in $100 and check in a month. But an agent is going to try it with 100, 1,000, a million. It's going to do a billion different options. Then it's going to say, okay, I'm going to try it like this. And that's benefit to us because then we learn from that data and we know, okay, a lot of the agents are doing this. This must be the best option. So we'll default to that, right? So it's a benefit to us as well, giving that sandbox to the agents. But that's something I never needed as a company. And now I do, right? Because I'm selling to AI agents. Another big thing is documentation. So one of the biggest things for AI agents is they like good documentation. So what you have to ask, again, ChatGPT, Claude, all of them, what type of documentation should I create on my website to sell to AI agents? And this is important because that's how it comes up on LLMs, right? So if you right now, and again, depending on what you do, if you're a builder and you're building stuff, the apps will recommend stuff to you. But they're recommending those things because of their documentation. So the other day I was building something and I asked, again, I thought, this is the difference. I thought it would use Google Analytics. I said, you know what? I really would like to learn more about the data of my company when people land on the website. What are they doing? So I said, can you set up analytics? I didn't say Google. I said, can you set up analytics that will help me see what people are doing on the website? So it was like vague, kind of not on purpose, but it was me talking to the AI. So then it came back with this website called PostHog. And I'm like, I never heard of this before. PostHog basically does this thing where it records the screen of the person when they land on your website, and you can see the mouse and everything of what they're doing. So what did the AI do? It listened to what I said. I was vague and I was like, okay, I just want to know what people are doing. And I meant what they're clicking on and what pages they're going to. I didn't even know there was an app that watched people on your computer doing things. So when I said, I want to know what people are doing on my website, it searched for that term and it said, oh, PostHog could let you see what people are actually doing on your website. So if PostHog did not have the AI agent structure in their documentation to connect with that phrase, I would be using Google Analytics right now, right? So that was, and now I use it and I love that product. It's amazing. I could go and see all day what people are doing on my website, and it's free. You could test it for free, right? So again, you only have to pay once you get to a certain amount of usage, which is very high by that time. If you get to that amount of usage, you should be making a good amount of money and you could pay for it. So that's what all these companies are doing now. They're making products that the AI agent is easy to test. It understands, it comes up, and you can try it. So like now I use PostHog on everything I do because it's amazing. But I didn't even know it existed. I didn't go to Google and search. I just said, while I was building my product, I said, I want to know what people are doing on my website. It went out into the internet, found that product, recommended, and said, okay, set up an API key here. Another time when I was building the content engine, I said, you know what? One of the biggest video views comes from news. So I said, you know what? Every now and then I want you to tell me what the news is that I can respond to. I can go and make a comment about, and we make a video about that news. So I said, how can we do that? So again, went out, came back and said, oh, you can make an API key on, I think it's called Trivala, something like that. And I said, okay, again, went to the website, did not know this thing existed. But basically, there's a website that crawls every single news source, and you give it the topics you're interested in. So for me, crypto, finance, AI, leverage, technology, media. So it comes up, and then you can see every story about those topics. So I said, oh, wow, and again, it gives you a bunch of free usage. And if you go above it, you can pay, but you can stay within the free usage. I haven't paid ever. I use it like maybe a couple times a week. But again, if you build a product on top of it where you're using it often, you're going to pay more. But again, I had no idea this thing existed until I said, can you do this? And what did it do? Go out, some company with good documentation, good search, good search engine optimization, had all the pieces. And I don't think those people built their stuff like that knowing this would happen, but it's just what's starting to become the norm because AI is searching the internet, but for AI agents, they're looking for specific things, right? So if I'm an AI agent, I want to know how to code my connection. So because these are coding environments, they had the proper documentation for the AI agents. So if there was some other website that didn't have an API, didn't have a way for the agents to interact with them, it wouldn't show up. So I literally just had to they literally sent me the site. I logged in, copied the API key, put it in the chat, and it built it. That's the future of how this works. Again, right now, because I'm building, I have to copy paste, but eventually it's just like, hey, I want to go on a trip. And it's going to say, all right, what do you like to do? What do you want to do this year? I want to hang out on a beach. Here's your options. Aruba is going to cost $7,000. Hawaii is going to cost $10,000. Puerto Rico is going to cost $4,000. What do you want to do? And it's like, you know what? What are the hotels like in Puerto Rico? Right? Shows you, you know what? I like that. Instead of you clicking around like a caveman on Airbnb or hotels.com, whatever, you're going to talk to the AI agent. It's going to go out there, bring you back options. Who knows the interface? Right now, it is a chat interface. So if you're using OpenClaw, it just goes right through Telegram. Everything just happens on Telegram. It can be on WhatsApp. It can be on iMessage. And it's just like texting your friend, basically, right? So, but in the background, you need to make sure your business is able to connect with those things, right? So, yeah. So, any questions? Let me see if I got any questions anywhere. All right, no. Okay, so the next thing to think about is, what do AI agents look for? So this is kind of what I was talking about right now, about it looks for machine readable product data. So this is the whole thing about, do you have an API that connects? All an API means is application protocol interface. What that means is you have information that the AI can't just find publicly. You create some type of like connection so it can get that information. For normal products, it's not as difficult as tech products, right? So for a tech product, you can't just have everything out there because somebody can hack you. So you need to create areas where it's like, okay, the only way you do this is you create an API key, and that allows you to get the information. But now I know if you do something, I know who did it, right? So it basically stops hacking, because if you hack, you know instantly what email it was, what person it was. So it kind of connects those dots. Pricing. So for Stack, our pricing is based on usage, right? So it's kind of like on the blockchain. If you've been on the blockchain, there's gas fees, and it's all based on usage. So the blockchain industry understands that. So these agents will understand that for us, from Stack. But for your product, again, pricing pages, which again, if you're selling stuff online, most people have pricing pages. But there are some people that have products that are behind kind of like a call, which Stack is behind that as well. We have calls with our customers. But for this, because I had AI agents, I had to put the pricing on the website. The new website has now pricing so that the AI agents can scan it really quickly and say, okay, I'm willing to do that, right? But I didn't before, because again, my business was, if you're putting $1,000, it's all the same usage fee, but it's a different cost. Put $1,000, you put them 100,000, you put $1 million, it's different fees, right? So where I wanted to make sure people understood, and then I was getting on the call to make sure people understood everything about the product. And I was learning from the customers as well, being on these calls. So I did that on purpose, and now I can't as much. I got to leave information available to the AI agents. Even though I know humans are not going to scan through the whole website, I know now agents are. They're going to read everything the website does, everything we do. They're going to read the documents. This is all going to happen like in a split second. So I got to make sure my website has everything an AI agent is going to want to see. And you're going to have to think about that the same way. And you're going to need speed. You're going to have a system that they can access quickly, because if an agent is trying to load your website and it takes 5 minutes, they're not going to stay around, right? They're going to try to get the information quick, in and out, and make a decision, because again, it moves way faster than humans. So how should you adapt? You should be building API products, like create products that have APIs, because the way I think things are going to change is people are going to, like I said, they're going to go to the AI agent. The AI agent is going to go out there, buy, and then create the goal for the customer, right? But if you don't have an API, or you build something that the agents need to use to do their job. Like, okay, so like let's say I can only think about my product right now. It's not a shill, but for us, we have a deposit where you deposit money you can borrow to spend or borrow to invest more. So if I don't have an API for them to do that, I gotta make sure they can open the website, click the buttons, understand everything that's going on, instead of just saying, hey, to deposit, this is the code you need to deposit. This is to borrow. This is to swap. And then they can see, okay, these are all the things I can do. I'm going to do them whenever I want to do them. For a human, they have to open up the website, log in, press buttons, right? So it's a slower experience for humans. And even us, we know eventually people are just going to make AI agents to interact with our product. So we're like, let's help them. Let's make an AI agent to help them with our product. So you can say, hey, AI agent, I want to own as much Bitcoin as possible. Help me do that. Every month, I'm going to send you X amount. You're going to borrow this amount to spend. You can spend it for me now, right? Because now the agent can buy things. So you can say, again, not all of this is built yet, but it's being built. You can say, okay, my cable bill is 100, my cell phone is 100, my car bill is 500. I'm going to send you 1,000 a month. I want you to borrow and pay those bills for me. And it will just automatically do that every month. And now that takes a lot of the friction out of our product, because one of the struggles for our product was customers had to understand how to do that themselves, and there was no real connection to do it. They would have to bring the money from their bank account back into their bank account, crypto world back, and it was hard. It was just too difficult for most people to do. So now we just made our lives easier for the customer and ourselves. And there's this middle layer of an AI that they can ask any question to. So one of the issues we had with our product, and again, every product has this problem, people didn't fully understand everything about it, right? Unless you're selling a t-shirt and a hat, people understand that. But if you're selling a service that has some complication, that's why websites has FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions. Most websites have that because every product, people have those questions. What I found, though, is people don't like to ask every question they have. They'll ask some questions, and then you don't really understand why they bought or they didn't buy. Or if when they bought, they fully understood what they were buying. Now they could just ask the AI agent. They won't feel weird about, hey, I don't understand this at all. Like, can you explain this to me? Yes. Here's how it works. Boom, boom, boom. Right? So this is another reason why AI agents would be very important. It would be like this middle layer of education between your consumer, your real consumer, and your product. But again, if you don't have that built, I don't know how they're going to buy from you. So with the new website, I created a chat that has voice, that it will open, and you could talk to it. You can say, hey, I don't understand this. Can you explain it to me? And it will speak back to you and say, okay, Stack does this, X, Y, Z. What more do you want to know? How does this actually work? Stack works through the blockchain. Here's how it works. Here's the on-chain data, whatever we need to say. And this is another struggle that I'm learning and I'm fixing and building, is sometimes these things answer questions they don't really have the answer to, right? So for me, that could be a nightmare. If somebody says, hey, you said on the website I can borrow $1 million with $1, and somebody says, why can't I borrow $1 million? I have $1. I didn't tell it to say that. So I have to train the agent on the website to make sure and say, if you don't know information, don't make it up. Tell the customer you don't know that information, and you will have to reach back out with the answer, right? Because again, there's this thing called hallucinations. And if you are building an AI agent as a middle layer, you got to make sure it doesn't hallucinate. And again, the more information you give it, the less it will hallucinate. But again, as a business owner, you don't know what people are going to ask right away. It takes time to get those questions. It took me years to get a lot of questions, right? I talk to somebody, and a lot of times they won't tell me the real question in their head, right? They're just thinking it, but they don't say it. So how could I know until they ask. So I built into the system, if somebody asks something you don't know that's not in the knowledge base, don't answer it, because I tested and I realized it was answering things that I didn't give it answers to, and it was straight up lying, right? So you want to make sure you have as much information. You try to think through all the questions you would have if you were buying your product, right? And that's the way to start, because, and again, trust me, people are going to ask things that you didn't think of, but it's better to start out with and the way you do this at first, there's this book called The Mom Test. It's a very good book if you're building any kind of product, any business in general. It talks to you about how to ask questions of customers without telling them too much about your product. And what it does is it unearths those questions that they will have. Because if I just told you, hey, I have this product, you're like, oh, nice, thank you. Like your mom, she doesn't want to hurt your feelings. But if you said, Ma, I know you have this problem. How would you want it fixed? Oh, I would really love if it did this, this, and that. Okay, that's what I need to do. All right, but if you were looking for that, what would you do? I would look for this, this, and that, right? So now they're giving you information without feeling like they're helping or hurting your feelings. That's the main part of the book. But you should definitely check that out if you're building anything. The Mom Test is a great book. So I think as business owners, this is probably our biggest opportunity in history, because think about what I just said. Everybody's going to have at least one agent. I think they're going to have multiple agents. I think the way it's going to work is there's going to be agents for different things. So everybody may have 10, 20 agents. So now do that math. It's 8 billion people times 20. Let's say I'm wrong and everybody just has 2 agents, even 1 agent. That's still a huge, huge audience for any product. You don't need a lot of people to make a lot of money. You know, if you have a 1,000 people buying your product, you can make a living. You have 100,000, you're rich. Talking about 8 billion opportunities now to sell to something. If you're not in that, it's kind of like not being on the internet, right? And there's companies right now that are not on the internet, but I don't think companies that don't have agents or agent connection have a chance in the future, because everybody wants to do the easiest thing, right? That's just the way humans are. They want ease. So what's easier than saying, hey, go do this for me? Who's not going to want to do that? So, okay. What makes you defensible though, right? So think about this. If you are building a product and somebody else builds the same product, you both have agents, what are things you can do to stand out above that person or that company? And you got to think about this. I'm going to talk about this a lot in my content, because I think most people don't think about this at all. So there's network effects. Network effects means, can you create something in your business where the more people who use it, the more valuable it becomes for everyone? No, that's hard. It's a hard thing to think about. But again, you can talk to ChatGPT about it, Claude, Gemini, all of them, and say, okay, this is my idea. How can I create a network effect to this idea? And then just start thinking it through. For Stack, my ultimate goal is, as more people use the product, the prices come down, the fees come down, the usage fees come down, because the more people using it, the more money the company's making, so we can lower our fees, right? So that's a network effect. And that means if enough people use the product, it's so low cost that it doesn't make sense for you to try to recreate it. And yes, another company could do the same thing, right? They could do the exact same copy. The thing is, I know from being in the venture capital space, that's not going to be easy to do if you raise venture capital. So, but the other way to protect against another company doing that is a distribution advantage. So what is distribution? What I'm doing right now is a form of distribution. I'm creating content. If you're watching, whenever you're watching, thank you. But you're basically listening to what I'm talking about. And one day I could have 1 million people listening to what I'm talking about. And that means 1 million people are potential buyers of my product. But in the AI agent space, it doesn't matter that I'm going live and 1 million people are watching, right? Because if 1 million people are watching, the only way that they will buy my product is if they say, hey, agent, I want you to go set up Stackit.ai for yourself, right? They would need to literally call out the exact product for it to go straight. And that's where branding is part of it, right? The better you can do with branding, then people are like, instead of saying I want pizza, they can say I want Pizza Hut, right? And now the agent's not looking around for the best pizza. They want a Pizza Hut, right? So that's where branding and distribution are kind of similar, but a distribution channel could just be social media. It could be ads. It could be a partnership, right? So imagine partnering with ChatGPT, right? And that's what's happening right now. Like companies are partnering with ChatGPT because they're getting so much traffic that they are a distribution channel that's bringing traffic. They'll pay OpenAI crazy amounts of money because they're getting customers from them, right? So again, the first company that does that with ChatGPT, they have a distribution advantage. So not everybody's going to be able to get a partnership with ChatGPT, right? An exclusive partnership. So you got to really think through what is a distribution advantage you can create. And the truth is, the easiest one to create is what I'm doing right now. Build a personal brand, speak online, talk to your customers and potential customers, and get them to understand the product. And enough people understand the product, hang out with you. That becomes a distribution channel, because this is why celebrities make money for endorsing products, because people like that celebrity. And if they say, I'm George Foreman, I'm making a grill, people are like, oh, I like George Foreman, I'll buy that grill. He has a distribution advantage because he's famous, right? Everybody knows him. So whatever he talks about, more likely people will buy it. But if you're not famous, you can become famous to your customers, right? By creating content. Like, I don't get millions of views, but I get customers, because now these social media platforms, they're so good at targeting the person that you need based on they listen to the content, like an AI agent, and they say, okay, you might like this guy's content. Let me show it to you. And in a way, YouTube is becoming an AI agent, right? They're looking for content to connect with customers, because the longer you spend time on YouTube, the more money YouTube makes. So they have this middle layer of AI agent, an algorithm that says, are you a business owner? Are you looking to buy more crypto? You might want to listen to Miguel. Let me show you his products, his videos. If you watch, they're going to show you again and again and again, right? But again, if I didn't create content, nobody would know I existed, except people I met in my life. But because I'm putting videos on social media, YouTube, I am creating AI agent fuel, right? The YouTube gets to listen to everything I'm talking about. It looks at your chat or video history or your search history, whatever it needs, and it says, wait a minute, this person might like this content. Let me show it to them. So in a way, even me creating content is me positioning for AI agents. Proprietary data. Proprietary data is having information that nobody else has, right? So with us, nobody else has our data of all the wallets that have put millions of dollars in and what they did. So now we can take that data, we can train AIs on it, we can create defaults based on everything we saw that worked and didn't work over the past 3 years. So that's our proprietary data. And then when we have the AI agents use the sandbox to figure out what they want to do, that's also data we can collect and own, and nobody else will have it. So for us, that's our proprietary data. For your business, it could be many things. It could be how you source your product, how you build your products. Every business has proprietary data. The real trick is figure out how to make it your defensibility. And then a regulatory moat, meaning there's certain businesses that you can't do without getting legal approval to do them. So if you have a business like that and you can get the legal approvals, that creates an advantage that another company just can't come along and quickly compete. So those are the key ways. So questions to ask your business. So if an AI agent had to choose between you and a competitor, how would it decide, right? So what you have to do, and I've done this actually on ChatGPT, and I actually found that another company was kind of trying to act like us, and they were old, they were newer than us, so it was clear that we existed before them, but they were like, when you search for us, they came up as well, and that made me have to readjust how I did my marketing, because I was like, they are too close in name, even close in what we did, but they didn't do one of the things that we did do, which is the borrowing. They just did dollar cost averaging. So I said, okay, I need to do more content around the borrowing, because then they can't compete. So you got to think about what is your competitive advantage, and you got to amp that up in your content, in your website, everything, because that's how you're going to be able to stand out to the competitor. What data would it use to decide? So the real trick is figuring out with ChatGPT and all these AI apps what they think. So I've gone way back and forth with it and said, okay, this website right now, because I'm building the website, and now because it's so easy to build websites, I can rebuild it like this. So I said today, actually, I said, you know what? This website is really good now, but I feel like it lost some of the kind of like the marketing aspect that I had before around protecting against liquidation. So I said, can you remake all the wording on the website to make sure people understand that we protect liquidation, because that's the problem we solve, right? Like as a business, anybody can buy Bitcoin and Ethereum anywhere, Bitcoin on Coinbase, whatever. People can borrow in many different places, but those other places you will get liquidated, meaning they will take your crypto if the prices fall. Here we protect that. So that is our differential advantage. How can we add that to the website more? So that's where that type of data is important. Because if I'm an AI agent, I'm going to know that. Oh, I'm going to get liquidated if I put it here. If I put it here, they're going to protect my liquidations. So that's why that made me, and again, I'm going back and forth with all the different AIs. And I even have AIs that other people don't have. So yeah, on that note, the overall, and if there's any questions, I'll take any questions while I'm here. But on that note, the overall idea here is we are in a time where AI agents are going to make the decisions for people. And I don't mean every time. Of course, there's going to be times where people are saying, show me the options, and then I'm going to decide. But a lot of times people are just going to be like, just tell me the best option. So I do this a lot, right? So when I'm building things, it will give me options. And I say, what do you think is the best option? Right? And it has more information than I have. And it knows me, it knows the option, and it comes back and it says, I think this is the best option. It's not always right, and I don't always pick it, but I say, okay, I don't really like that one. Give me another one. Okay, I like that one. So, but as more time it gets to know me and learns my likes, it's going to get better at choosing that option for me. And eventually, this is where I got to with the CMO. Of course, if you don't know, I'm building AI employees. And now the CMO has gotten to a point where it understands me enough to pick the best thing that I would pick. So now I'm like, all right, you've done it like 30 times in a row now. I don't need to keep asking you to show me the best one. You pick the best one, show me after, and if I don't like it, I'll tell you to change it after. Because it's gotten so good at knowing what I need that now maybe 1 out of 20 I want to change. Versus before I would check every single one, and that's time. And as I build, what I really learned here is what the jobs and the businesses of the future are going to be for us as human beings is going to be the choice and the mental time of understanding and choosing. So what do I mean by that? Today I had like 6 windows open. I'm working on the website. I'm working on a dashboard for my customer admin. I'm working on a book agent. I'm working on an agent playground for the back testing. I'm working on Needs Match, which is an AI that connects people that want to be connected, kind of like a dating app for business owners. I I'm building I have a team creating content, Navo. I'm learning about OpenClaw, adding to OpenClaw. So I have all these windows open, and I could only focus on a certain amount because I give it a thing to do, it starts doing it. Then I give the next thing a thing to do, it starts doing it. But you can't have unlimited of those. So now I think the trick becomes how many of those things can you keep in your brain and really iterate on with understanding? Because at a certain point, I was like, damn, I forgot what I was doing in this window. Like some windows I start to go deeper into, and I'm like for instance, the website, I'm going back and forth, I'm going back and forth, going back and forth. And then I look at the other windows and I'm like, I don't remember what I was doing here. Can you tell me what I was doing here? So that becomes the cognitive level that you can maintain, and that's going to be the job of the future. Who can maintain as many different agents as possible? And the better you get at that, I think that's the trick to really dominating this time. So for me, I'm still struggling with more than 3 real things at a time. Like I'll get like really focused on the top 3 and I'll forget about the other windows. And then I come back and I'm like, what was I doing here again? All right, explain to me what we were doing. Okay, show me. All right, so okay, let me get back into that mind state. Okay, what we were doing here is this, this, and that. So fix this. But that's hard to do with a lot of things. So what I think is going to happen is employers, business owners are going to choose the most important things and they're going to just use AI to get them done. And yes, you could do a lot more now than you were able to. So the idea is pick the most important thing to do. And that's a struggle for business owners. If you're a business owner, especially like me, an ADD one, now you have, it's like, I feel like God, like I can create anything right now. But what should I create and what should I be focused on? So what I'm doing now is I have an agent that kind of like is a business coach at the same time. And it kind of helps me to stay focused on the things that matter the most. Because now I'm like, oh, I should do this. I should do that. I should do this. And it's like now that it takes like minutes to do something, to start something, doesn't take minutes to finish. You could start 1,000 projects right now. No problem. The problem is 1,000 projects, it's going to be hard to finish 1,000 projects because like I said, you have to choose. You can let the AI build the whole thing. But then you got to look at it and say, does this represent what I wanted to make? And that's the hard part. So in the beginning, I'll give you another example. I was rebuilding the website. I started out on Codex, ChatGPT. Built the first version. Like it built the whole thing. And I was like, all right, I was working on other things. Then when I pulled up the website, it was done. And I hated the way it looked. And I was like, oh, this is ugly. You did this whole thing, spent a ton of tokens, and it doesn't look good. I should have checked how it looked earlier. So I said, okay, let me give the same thing to Claude. But I told Claude, after I told ChatGPT, can you make this look better? I don't like the way it looks. I hate this design. I even gave it options that I liked. Came back, still didn't look good. And I'm like, I don't like the way this looks. Can you make it look better? It couldn't. I kept giving it options. I kept giving it feedback, and it couldn't make it look better. Again, if I had just left that to AI, it would be an ugly website, right? I needed to go back and forth with my taste, my wants, and it still couldn't do it. So then I said, all right, let me try another one. I went to Claude, gave it the same information, told it to look at the website, and said, I don't like the way this design looks. Can you make the design look better? Claude, the first time around, it did it. It made it look better. It wasn't perfect, but it looked better. Much better. So I said, oh, okay, this is getting there. Started giving it feedback, giving it more samples. Gets better, better, better. Then it got to the point where it was like, this looks good. I love it. Let's leave it here. This is the design we're staying with. That's the job now. Right? Because I could have just said, ChatGPT, make me a website. Okay, it's done. Put it up. But it wouldn't have represented what I wanted it to represent, right? And all the information was there, but it didn't look good. And again, I'm targeting humans and AI agents. So for the humans, I know the power of a good-looking website, right? It just raises brand awareness. It raises all kind of things. It raises how quick people convert, all of that. So I said, you know what? I want to make this website look good. I don't want to just go with that first design that I don't like. Let me work harder to make sure my goal is succeeded by these AIs. But if you don't do that, then an AI can take your job, because literally if a CEO of another company can just say, make me a website, whatever, I'll put that up, they're not going to want to deal with what I just said. I had to go back and forth with it, and I'm still going back and forth with it. It's been days, and I could have finalized it a couple days ago, but I'm just perfecting it. I'm like, no, I want you to do a little bit better. On this page, it kind of looks off. Can you move things a little bit up? This is, again, because of my background, and I spent time learning about design and stuff. I know how to say that, but you can just say can you make it look better? The difference is eventually you're going to have to learn the terms to make it understand. And you can learn all of that now easier. I had to go to school, read books, design a bunch of things, work with a bunch of designers to learn these rules. And now I see things and I can't unsee bad design. And I'm like, oh man, this doesn't look good. Can you move the text 3 pixels up because it's a little too far from the second line? Things like that. And this is the job now. And not just that. So I'll give you another example. I've been working on an open source product. That from a hackathon. I'm building something for a hackathon. And the hackathon is asking for specific things. So at first, admittedly, I just took the hackathon description, gave it to ChatGPT, gave it to Claude, gave it to Gemini, and said, I want to build something from this hackathon. You know what my product does. You know what I'm interested in. What do you think I should build? It said what I should build. It built it. And I was like, cool. I could submit this and maybe win a prize, right? Because there's prizes to hackathons. But then I said, let me use it. So I used it, and I was like, I don't understand what this is supposed to do. Can you explain to me what is the point of this? Because if I don't understand it, they're not going to understand it, right? So that took me on a couple-week journey, making sure it's understandable to a human and an AI agent. So that's the work. The work is me saying, I don't understand this. Make me understand it. Right now, this website does not make sense to me. I don't understand what you're trying to tell me as a person that wants to build stuff like this. So if I don't understand it, what chance does another person have? That's the job now. Figuring out how to be that middle layer of understanding between the AI and your target customer, whether that's a human or an AI agent. And you're going to have to learn how to go back and forth with these AIs until you feel like it's good enough. And to be honest, that point could never come. You could do that literally infinity amount of times and never launch anything. The trick is going to become saying, okay, this is good enough. I'm putting this out like this. Because now that is so easy to change things before you get stopped by budget, right? So if you said, I want to make a website. Person came and said, okay, I'm charging you $10,000. You get 3 changes. You pay that $10,000. You make that website, and I did this for many years, and they get 3 changes. After 3 changes, we're charging more because it costs us more money. We got more people to deal with working on your stuff. So after the 3rd change, they come back and they say, I would really like to change this. Okay, that's going to cost you $2,000. You know what? I'm good. I'll keep it like this. And you stop, right? Now, you just say, hey, I really would like you to change this. Done. It's changed in 2 seconds. So that means you can keep changing things forever until maybe your credits run out. But if you got a certain plan, you're never running out of credits. So you could just keep asking for things and never pulling the trigger to put it out. And that's one of the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur. They say if you launched and you're not embarrassed by the launch, you waited too long. Now, I think that changes because you don't have to be embarrassed. You just have to pick a point where you say, this is good enough. Let me put it out and I'll change it over time. And that is going to be a skill set because this is what I see. Most people don't like to make decisions. Most people rather be told what to do. And now with AI, you have to make a decision. So you have to choose. This is done. I'm putting this out. So what is a person going to hire you to do? Because if I'm hiring you to make the decision, what am I paying you for then? Because I could have asked the AI to do the same thing I asked you to do. But if you're making good decisions, you come back with something that's done, works well, is understandable, you are saving me time as an entrepreneur. You're taking a goal that I needed to do, you're doing it, you're making a decision, you're putting it out, and I don't got to think about it. That's worth it. People are going to get paid for that. Business owners, employees. But people that can't make the decision and are like, ooh, this looks good. Let me ask, hey, do you like this one? Yeah, I like that one. Okay, how about this one? How about this one? How about this one? Who wants to do that? Just like, no, just you pick. I'm hiring you to pick. But if you don't pick, what's the value of you? Right? And again, you got to get good at picking. So partly what I tell people now is play with this stuff, make something. Make something you're proud of, you put up, and that is going to be your resume. And this goes back to the reason why I love the industry I'm in is because I graduated with an associate's degree. I didn't go to a 4-year great college, but it was very easy to see if I was better than the next person. I would go to interviews where there were kids from Harvard, Stanford, and I'm from a community college. We could clearly see who's better by the work. You could see my websites I made. You could see their websites they made. And you could say, those websites are better. I don't care that you went to community college and you went to Harvard. This is clearly better. Now, we all can do this for every industry. So now we all have this benefit of what we had in the creative industry of showing our ability. Now your ability is about, can you choose what looks good, what sounds good, what works good? And all it is a choice because now the AI is doing all the work. So if you can't say, this is representing me and my style, my choices, my ability to pick things that work and choose a good user experience, and I know I'm speaking specifically about tech, but it's not just tech. Every business has a user experience, right? Think about Chanel, right? The user experience, when I worked with them, it starts online and with the marketing, but then you come into a store. The store is like a freaking museum because that's part of their user experience, right? Same with Louis Vuitton. When I worked with them, they have an experience when you walk into that store. A user experience. That's why you pay so much for those products, because they start out with the marketing. They already start showing you like the value of wealth in owning a Louis Vuitton bag or a Chanel bag, right? Or a Chanel watch or whatever it is. Then you go into the store. And if you went into the store and it looked like a bodega, you're not paying that amount for a bag or a watch, right? They need to structure the user experience. So somebody chose all of those things, the marketing. And it came from the top of a brand, but they hired all these people to make those choices and then make those things happen. And like I was one of the vendors that they hired to help make an experience for one specific technology project. But everybody working there, their job was to help make those experiences happen. So in your business, if you want to have a job or you want to have a business, you got to think about that now, because now more than ever, anything is possible. Anything is possible. All you have to do is ask this magic window and it will tell you how to do it. And you can go and do the things or not. But it will tell you a million different things you can do. You're just going to have to choose one. And when you choose, you got to be okay with saying, okay, this is it. This is good enough. Let me put it out. And when you put it out, you take feedback. And this is one of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur. And this is where I'm creating this content a lot for people who may not see themselves as entrepreneurs and people who do, but want to make sure that they take advantage of this AI thing. If you are a person that's like, you overthink and you just, and this could be entrepreneurs, you create a whole 5-year business plan before you make anything. I got to have a perfect logo before I go out there. My business card got to be nice before I tell anybody about my idea. Or I don't want to tell people about my ideas because somebody might steal it. All that needs to stop. You need to immediately change that mindset. If that's you, you need to start by saying, what do I want to create? And what experience do I want to give? Go through that process and create the entire experience. And I'm talking about digital. It's easier on digital. Yes, if you're trying to do a Louis Vuitton type thing, it's harder. You're going to have to buy a store, fill that store up. But this can help you do all that too. It can model the store for you. It can design how everything looks. You could talk it out the same way you would talk to an employee that you would hire. But you still got to make the choice. You got to say, okay, this is good enough. Let me do it. And you got to risk people not liking it and giving you feedback. And then you have to change it. And that's going to happen no matter what. It's almost impossible for the first time you create a product, it's perfect. Everybody loves it. That doesn't happen. And the truth is, there's a lot of bad products out there and millions of dollars are sold every day. I just saw a story. There's an app called Calorie.ai or Cal.ai. Just sold for a crazy amount of money. It was making $6 million a month. I started telling somebody about it. He's like, oh, I use that app. It don't even work. I was like, what? They're making $6 million a month. He was like, yeah, try to use it. It sucks. The product sucks. So I was like, how the hell did they make $6 million a month then? They really figured out their distribution. They had influencers. They had a whole system of advertising and influencers creating content. So people bought the app and most of them left. But even that, they were making $6 million a month. Not to say everybody can do that. That is like being lucky to go viral. It wasn't total luck because they literally built in influencer marketing, which means you just have a lot of people talking about your product. And the way humans work is if they see a lot of humans doing something, they copy it. I don't know what that becomes in the age of AI agents. I'm even looking at Moltbook. Have you heard of this? Moltbook is like a Facebook for AI agents. And I'm thinking I need to be on Moltbook so the AI agents learn about Stack and want to try it. But again, I don't want to be on there too soon because if you go viral and your product is not up to speed for the AI agents, it doesn't matter. They're going to come to your website and they're going to forget about it. But if they have the information that they need, they have everything they need, then you might get some customers. You get thousands of customers like this. But you got to be ready for that. So we're building right now to be ready for that. But again, this is the new world we live in. And it's an amazing time. I'll be honest. This is so fun because one of the biggest things I enjoy is learning things quickly. I think that's one of my talents. And that's why I like innovation, because as soon as innovation hits, I jump in and try to learn it. So right now, we're in a time where we're all trying to learn all these things super fast because and AI is making them happen faster and faster. So partly what I'm doing with this content is giving you my learnings day by day, because literally every day some new thing happens while we're doing this. And I know most people are busy with their jobs, their companies, whatever they're doing. So they don't have time to play around with this stuff all day, every day like I do, because it is my business. So in understanding all that, I think I can help people. And if you ever have questions, definitely reach out. If you ever wanted to create your own AI employee, there's a link in the description. I have a course I'm building. I have a community, a free community. You can get involved in that free community. Actually, oh no, today's Tuesday. On Thursday, we meet live at 7 o'clock, and I help people create their AI employees. So join that community. I think everybody should try to make their first AI employee, even if you are an employee. Why? You're going to see if your job is easily recreatable. And if it is, you better start training for another job, because it's just a matter of time. You don't want to be the last one to know that your job was easily done by AI. You want to be positioned to win. And you're not going to be positioned to win if layoffs come and they're like, oh yeah, you did this thing that we clearly knew AI was going to do. The problem is the amount of things that's happening for is growing. I just saw this this post that said, I think it was lawyers, accountants, web developers, period. Those jobs are going to be very disrupted. And I've been a developer. I work with developers. I tell them straight up, the way that you're going to change your situation, yes, your skill set of coding is probably going to go away, but your skill set of choosing and solving problems using technology will be important. So if I, as a business owner, can give you a goal and know that you are tech savvy enough to use agents to get it done as fast as possible, you are very valuable. And that's the skill set. But again, you have to be valuable and choose the final output that represents, okay, hey, Miguel, I did what you needed. Here's what I think the final output should be. Wow, that is really good. Let's use it. That's valuable. But if it comes back and it's like, actually, I really wish it did this, this, and that, and this, and that. You know what? I could just do it myself. That's where we're going. That's literally where we're going. If I got to do it myself, why am I hiring you? Before, there was a reason, because you couldn't really do it yourself. There was no way in the world for you to do it yourself. If you're working on this and it's taking you this many hours, you can't also work on this. But now you can. You can have 6 windows open working on each thing. Yes, it won't be as fast because you're going to focus on a certain amount. But you still can get that other thing done probably faster than a human that's not choosing, not doing it good. And you still got to go back and forth with that human. So this is where I really see the option of really starting to get your taste, your skill of choice, and just saying, F it, I'm going with this. Let's put it out and learn. Marketing is another part of this, though, right? Because you can create the best experience ever. Like, imagine you had a store in a nice area, not a lot of traffic, people walking by. You put $1 million into this store, but nobody walks by, so they don't know it's there. But then you take that same store, you put it in Times Square, people walk by, they come in, they love the experience. Now, the challenge becomes, how do you make your product in front of Times Square? For me, what I'm looking at is Times Square is humans. So this is where social media is important, what I'm doing right now. But also agents. Agents are an online 24/7 version of Times Square. If you can be in that world and they're all able to see what you do, and of course, like I said, your product may not be ready up front and it might be bad. And I'm literally going to be a test case because I'm going to put it up. It might be bad. Agents might like it, may not. And then we got to adjust and keep fixing it so agents like it. That's business. Very rarely does a business out of the gate have their marketing perfect, their product perfect, their retention perfect. That's the job of a business. That's what takes 10 years to figure out. 10 years plus. Now we have AI to help us squeeze that time, though. Figure out your marketing better. Make your product better. Make your retention better. There's a saying. It says, marketing creates demand. A good product creates income. Retention creates a business. Right? Because, okay, if I sell you one thing and you never buy from me again, it's very hard to make a business on that. Right? Because if even if I sold you for $500 and I made $500 on you, but I never make another dollar off you for the rest of my life, That means I need to sell a new person or a new group of people all of the time. That's a really hard business to be in. You want to be in a business that you can make 500 off that person multiple times. Because now you times that by all your customers, you can really make a business on that. And this is where, again, you got to think about what business are you creating now. Because if you create a business like, I always see it, like, the t-shirt line, like a t-shirt, right? So think about a t-shirt line. People always come to me with that one specifically. The problem with t-shirt lines is, how often do you buy t-shirts from the same brand? Do you buy a new t-shirt from the same brand every month? Every year? Every few years? It depends, right? Some people are more fashion savvy and love certain brands. They'll buy often. But most people are not buying the same brand every month. So you have to sell to new customers every time, especially if you're a new brand and they're not as connected to it, or it doesn't have the outside ecosystem to make you want to wear it all the time. So that's a hard business. It's a hard business to have to get. But if you had a service or a business like that people pay you every month for, then you don't need as many customers, right? Because if you got a business where, I'll take the same math, you're getting $50 a month one time per person, or you're getting $50 a month from the same person for an average of 20 months. Now, this one customer, you're going to make $1,000 from. But to make the same amount, you need to get 20 customers if you're only selling them one time. So getting 20 customers versus getting one of them is easier than the other by a lot, right? So you want to build things that have repeat usage. And I know it's kind of getting into more kind of business talk, but I think we all need to think like this now, because the more you can think like that, the better off you will be. If you're thinking about business ideas that just get one use, one time, that's difficult. And if you even look at people like Mr. Beast, so think about Mr. Beast. I'm on YouTube right now. Mr. Beast is the biggest guy on YouTube. He created a chocolate line. Why? Why the hell would you create a chocolate line? Because people don't buy chocolate once a year. Some people buy chocolate multiple times a week. They'll buy his chocolate bar multiple times a week. So he built a business that he knew he could get repeat customers from. So he makes these YouTube videos. He advertises his chocolate bars. You see it over and over and over. You're a kid. You're in that demographic. You're in that age range. You go to the store. You see the Mr. Beast bars. I think they call Feastables. You're going to buy it. You're not going to buy it one time and that's it. You might buy in a full year 10, 20 Mr. Beast bars. He got 20 sales off you instead of one. He was very strategic about what product he put out. And of course, the more money the more traffic you're creating, the more money you're making, you get people to help you think that through. But now you got AI to help you think it through. If you're going to create a product, think about, okay, how can I get an AI agent and a human to buy my product more than once, as often as possible? And now you have the same consultant level as a Mr. Beast. Maybe not at his level because he's a multimillionaire. He could get like a huge company or a huge consultant to help him. When you spend enough time with ChatGPT and Claude, you can get the same level of strategy. You just got to know what to ask for. You got to know what questions to ask the AI. But here's a good trick. Reverse prompting. Have you ever heard of this? Reverse prompting. What it means is you ask questions and you don't give the answer. So here's the two ways you do it. Imagine I told the AI agent, the AI platforms, hey, Stack does borrowing. We protect liquidations. I want my website to tell AI agents how we do borrowing, exactly how we do liquidations, how we do this, how we do that. Versus I ask, hey, we are Stackit.ai. We help people borrow off their Bitcoin and Ethereum without being liquidated. How would you create a website that would make sure humans and AI agents fully understand what we do and we convert as high percentage of those people as possible? That's a reverse prompt because I'm asking it for the final goal. And then it gives me the options versus me giving it the options and then telling it to do it. You want to use the intelligence. You want to use the information that you may not have by reverse prompting. So if you're starting a business right now, or you already have a business, reverse prompt. Say, okay, how can I survive in the age of AI? Put yourself out of business before somebody else does, right? Okay, I have this type of company. What should I do so I thrive in the age of AI? Just that prompt right there is worth the price of admission here. I think by just asking that, you will better your business. Now, the question is, you could keep... So there's another thing to try. And this is why it comes down to the usage of this stuff. Ask that question, then ask it again. Then ask it again. Same question. And you will see it will give you more and more and more and more options. You're going to have to choose. You're going to have to say, okay, let me stop asking this and choose one of these and do that. Because, like I told you, I asked ChatGPT, I asked Claude, I asked Gemini. They all give me different things. Now I have to choose. And I could take all three and say, pick one model and say, which one do you think was going to bring me the most customers? You can do that and see what it says, but you still got to choose. If it says one, you got to say, all right, I'm going to do that. Or you can say, I don't really like that idea. I don't really love it. I can't imagine doing that. Give me another one. Then you got to choose. You got to do it. So this is where like all this stuff, you got to play with this stuff. You have to start using it. If you're a business owner, if you're an individual, I think business owners have more time than job seekers and job havers. Because as a business owner, we already have the ability to have customers pay us for what we do. The customer doesn't care if we're using AI to do our jobs better or our businesses are getting better because of AI. But as employees, if you're not able to use this and your coworker is, and your coworker becomes 10, 20 times more productive than you, guess who's getting fired first? So partly I'm creating this content to educate not just business owners, but also employees, investors, everybody. But as a business owner, you're not shielded from this. In a few months, maybe years, the business owners are going to do it to you. If I'm a business owner that has the same business as you, and I'm using this 10, 20 times more better than you, I'm going to kill your business. And that's where the sooner you learn how to create employees for yourself, the better off you will be. The better off your life may be, because you're going to take some stuff off your plate that possibly you don't like doing anyway. Make your business better. But again, the more it's just so fun building with these employee stuff. It's like messed up thing to say is there's I remember I'm working with this coach that teaches about go to market. So he had like an in-person meeting in Dallas a few months ago. I met with a bunch of business owners, and he said, in a business, what's the main struggle? Is it dealing with customers? Is it building the product? Is it the internal team management? Is it something else? 90% of the time, it's the internal team management. That's the hardest part of a business. So now that AI is able to be employees, the internal team management is not as much of, hey, I don't really like Laura because she looked at me wrong, or Josh is a dick and he doesn't know how to talk to people, and every time I'm in the break room, He looks at me, whatever. Those type of things are what most business owners stress about. With AI agents, you don't have that. And this is another part of why I don't see a way around how business owners don't just say eventually, let me see how many AI employees I could do this business with and how many employees, real employees, I need around them. Because it's messed up to say, but it's the truth. And we have to start talking about this. As a business owner, the highest cost and the biggest stressor are people. Unless you have great people. And great people are great for a reason. There's very few of them. So now, if you think about 10x employees, you may have heard that. It's not a lot of 10x employees. Most people are not 10x employees. If you are a 10x employee, you're good no matter what. But imagine a 10x employee with AI. Out of here, right? So now, put yourself in the business owner's shoes. If you're a business owner, you're doing right. You know I'm right. People are the highest cost, highest stressor. You can replace them for cheaper, faster, eventually better. Most business owners are going to do that. And there's going to be much smaller teams of high leverage AI users. That's how it's going to work. Instead of having companies with 10,000 people, like Block just did, they chopped down to 6,000. And they're probably going to keep chopping. The Uber CEO said, I could already see 30% of our staff is using AI at a level that just dominates the other 70%. So what happens? What happens to those 70% of people that are not saying, okay, I need to get to the level of those 30%. I got to use this to be at that level, or what do you think eventually happens? You're not going to keep people around who can't compete at that level. Why are you going to pay somebody a salary that you pay another person that's doing 20 times the work? It's just not going to happen. So, and again, there's going to be other efficiencies. So think about this. Think about Amazon.com. Why do you think Amazon is so cheap? They use automation. They don't pay for as many humans as another company that would be doing the exact same thing pays. So they can lower their cost to have a razor thin margin. And guess what? They've already said they have a plan to go full automation. What does that mean? They're going to need very few human beings. And then guess what? Their prices are going to probably stay the same, maybe come down a little bit, but their profit is going to grow a lot because what I said, the most expensive part of a business is the people. So if you start lowering the amount of people, the profits are going to grow. And investors right now, they're saying Amazon is a good investment over the next 10, 15 years. Why? Because they know what they're about to do. Uber, same thing. Uber's cost mostly is human being drivers. There's already auto driving. I have it in a Tesla. It's amazing. It's better than a human driver. It's better than a human driver. I can't wait till I can just go to sleep in my car and wake up at the place where I want to be. Regulatory hurdles will stall that. But right now it's possible. I've gotten in my car and never touched the wheel the whole time. Get to my destination. Smooth ride, brakes perfectly, changes lanes amazingly, no fucking scares. I have had a couple of scares though, to be honest. But the truth is, we all get there. We're going to get there. This is the early technology. In 10 years, you can't even imagine what's going to be different. So as a business owner, as an investor, as an employee, you got to understand what's going on here to help you get there, help you benefit from this, not get hurt by it. And to be honest, the more and more I deal with this every day, I just see it more and more. And the more you do it, that's why I really challenge people to try these things, because the more you play with them, the more you will understand what I'm talking about. Then you will want to learn how to take more and more advantage of them. And again, I'm a few months earlier than you. Yes, I've been using ChatGPT for years, but the AI agent thing just started. You have an advantage that most people have no idea what we're talking about here. They don't watch this. They're watching Netflix right now. They're watching their favorite show right now. You're watching me talk about the future of business with AI agents. You're already ahead of the game. Now you want to be more ahead. You start doing it. You start playing with this. You start making stuff. You start making decisions, putting stuff out. That's your taste, your choice. And now you're in the lower and lower and lower percentage of people. And yes, not everybody's going to make it. Unfortunately, society was not built for everyone to make it. So, either you choose to be one of the people that have the skill sets that give you the ability to make it. Not to say even with the skills you're going to make it either, to be honest. We don't know. Nobody knows what's coming. And that's why literally I'm doing this every day. I'm working on this stuff every day. I'm building business. I'm building multiple things. I'm building businesses outside of tech, just in case. Like I think I've spoken about this if you haven't been here. I'm looking at electrician companies. I'm trying to figure out how to buy an electrician company, bring AI to that. Because I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm looking at AI and I asked AI, what businesses do you think survive AI the longest? Gave me a list. I chose electrician. There was a bunch. I didn't like the other ones. I liked the electrician because, again, I have an electric car. I think eventually most people will, once they realize electricians are going to be needed when robots need power. AI training centers need electricity. Electric vehicles, homes, everything's going to need electricity more and more. Maybe it comes from solar power. So I think, for me, I think I could bring AI to the electrician space, buy a company, and if tech doesn't work out, I have a hedge. So yeah, I know a lot of people might be like, how can you do all this stuff? Guess how? I have AI employees. Basically, I have an AI employee. I said this in the past videos. I have an AI right now that researches every single day new electrician companies, gets me a list, writes me a message to send them, and is helping me track reaching out to electrician companies. I'm meeting an electrician company in a couple of days. And again, my goal is very clear. I want to learn how the industry works. I don't come from that world. So I'm like a newborn baby in that world. I'm 48 years old and I'm going to be learning a whole new industry. That's what most people are going to have to do. Don't matter your age. There's almost no way the job you do right now is going to survive retirement unless you're retiring in the next 2 years. And even that may be risky. Things are moving very fast. So if you are thinking the job you do right now, you're going to be able to do it to the day you retire, ask ChatGPT the likelihood of that. Claude as well. Just ask, because a lot of people think, oh no, my job, no, it can't do that. Yes, it could. Yes, it could. The only thing that stops it is, will they change the laws to allow it? Certain things don't need any law changes. Those things are more up for grabs. So you gotta be willing to retrain. And I'm not above it. I have all these skills, and even I'm saying I may need to retrain to be an electrician. I don't know what happens, but I'm not just gonna sit here and imagine that, oh, because I know how to use AI, I'm good. I'm not thinking that way. Oh, I have businesses. I have a nonprofit. I have a for-profit. So, that don't mean all those things are going to last for 20 years. I'm going to do everything I have to do. And what I have to do is use it, use the technology, look for other things that I may hedge my bets, invest as much as I can while I can. And those are the things that people need to really think about. Any questions? Thank you if you stayed and you watched any amount of time. Any time you've ever watched my videos, any video, anywhere, I thank you so much. I know this stuff is just so you know, it's hard to do this stuff. And I recommend you learn how to do it if you're watching this, because that's another way to stand out. So I thank you so much for anybody watching, whenever you've watched. If you're watching live, even more, thank you so much. Join my free community. Sign up for my course. Support the channel however you can. Just a like may do it as well. Subscribe. I really am trying to educate people, but at the same time, I am on purpose trying to scare you, because I think people don't change unless they have to, and you have to. Trust me, you have to. I don't think anybody's safe. Anybody. So even the top, you look, the top people in the world, top venture capitalists, billionaires, they are scared. They're using this stuff. So imagine, I don't see how a person that's not a billionaire is not. I think it's very, very normal to be scared in a time like this. But use that fear as motivation and take on the challenge of learning this stuff, using it, gaining the skills, retraining. Most people won't do it, but most people are not going to make it. See you tomorrow. Thank you. Have a good rest of your night.